I wanted to switch gears a little bit. So we did talk about a variety of things, the state actors in going after electric grids, uh, industrial espionage, taking of information, distributing wrong information, or attempting to interfere with elections. The list is not short. But is there anything else that keeps you up at night? What else should I be worried about?
Do you know what? There's a really good question, and it's quite difficult to frame the answer to this, right? So I'm of an age, I'm in my mid-40s, where I grew up before the internet, as in before the internet was readily available. There were some people who had basic internet connections, but I certainly wasn't one of them. And the thing that I worry about is I recognize in myself the difference between that pre-internet age, like the way I consumed information, the way I understood information, the way that I would, gather and discriminate, and that actually it was a far slower process, a more considered process. And the students that I teach now, and it's no detriment to them, but this is the era that they grow up in, I think they see, treat, feel information like differently to how I did when I was a student. And that, I think, is something that we cannot go back on. So if I was in charge of a group of analysts, I'm not sure I would allow them to be exposed to social media as part of their when they were making an intelligence assessment, because I'm not sure what value it might add to what they would, if it's a strategic intelligence assessment, I'm not sure what value it adds. If it's targeting or tactical, then maybe. But it's that short form information, something that's basically less than a side of A4, appears to be the norm for this generation. And I think that has done something fundamental to how we understand knowledge, how we produce knowledge. It all has to be very bite-sized, digestible. And so that, if whilst that is maybe completely esoteric and strange, that is the thing that would keep me up at night if it was going to do so, would be just the change of our relationship with knowledge.
That sounds quite a long list, but yes, some things we have to worry about. Actually, I wanted to change a little bit in terms of not so much what worries you, but what excites you about in the future. What are your hopes and dreams about the future?
Oh, hopes and dreams. Well, do you know what? So I think so. A lot of people have been really sniffy and made detrimental comments about Mr. Zuckerberg's metaverse, and equally have been quite dismissive about actually the speed at which a vaccine was developed for this particular pandemic, which, as Rob knows, despite the fact I've had 2 of these vaccines, I'm still in isolation in the UK with COVID, which is unfortunate in the extreme. But it does actually provide me with some with hope for the future, actually, that, if we combine these 2 things, that actually we are now at a sort of a level of technological sophistication, so that my hope is actually we can tackle these challenges of, future pandemics, God forbid, or indeed the climate change issue, or other issues of productivity, like the growing enough food or producing enough food for the globe, whilst also improving our interconnectedness with people around the world, so that actually we have a much better understanding. And these issues of lack of understanding across cultures is playing out in the UK particularly unpleasantly right now. So actually, it's that there is an electronically facilitated and more productive future that in which actually the British public in my current context can essentially relax a bit more while being more productive. I don't think it's completely unrealistic either. It's not so utopian.